Welcome to Heartbreak Chronicles. I will never forget the night that changed the course of my life. As a 29-year-old married woman, Sarah still looked beautiful, but what she was about to tell me would completely shake the foundations of our marriage. The message wasn't delivered in some vague or cryptic way. Rather, she said it bluntly, with a clarity that I couldn't mistake. To create the perfect ambience, I orchestrated an elegant dinner at one of our favorite upscale restaurants. Everything had been meticulously prepared. Snow-white tablecloths, carefully selected wines, and even a diamond necklace she'd long coveted. I spent almost $1,000 for that necklace, not realizing at the time that I would soon be thinking about how to get that money back. The whole night, I felt something was wrong. Our usually relaxed and pleasant conversation was now clouded by an invisible tension. Sarah seemed distracted, her eyes wandering around the restaurant as if looking for someone or something. Usually we always had trouble taking our eyes off each other, but tonight her eyes barely wanted to linger on me. It wasn't until after we'd finished our entrees and we'd poured another round of red wine that she finally spoke. There was a certain unspoken heaviness in her voice. Michael, her voice trembled a little as she began to speak. There's something I've been holding in for a long time, and I think it's time to talk about it. I set my glass down, a sudden sinking feeling coming from the pit of my stomach. What exactly is she going to say? Maybe she's finally ready to talk about starting a family? We had previously agreed to wait until our careers were more stable to have kids, and now that we're in a much better place, I'm actually excited about the idea. But when she avoided my gaze, I knew that wasn't the case. No, it's something much more significant. She sighed deeply and finally met my eyes. Michael, she sounded more serious than I'd ever heard her. I've been doing a lot of deep self-reflection lately, and there are some things I have to change for myself, for us. Her voice trembled as she continued, I need to explore other aspects of myself outside of this relationship. Those words hit me like a punch in the stomach, making me gasp for air momentarily. What are you trying to say? I asked, my voice trembling as I leaned forward and tried to catch her gaze, but she avoided it. Her hands twisted together nervously in her lap. Michael, I want to see the others. I need to explore that aspect of myself. I hope you understand so we can avoid greater pain later. Those words hit me like a punch in the stomach, making me gasp for air momentarily. Other guys? I repeated, disbelief in my voice. Are you telling me you want to date other men? I barely recognized my own angry, desperate voice. She bit her lip, hesitated, then nodded gently. Yes, that's part of it, she admitted. The restaurant seemed to spin and everything became a blur. The elegant decor, the soft whispers of the other diners, all of which faded into the background, leaving only her words echoing in my ears. You want to date other men and expect me to what? Just accept it? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Michael, keep it down, she hissed, looking around nervously, obviously worried that we might attract attention. That's when it dawned on me that she chose this bustling restaurant for a reason. She knew I wouldn't make a scene in public. She had calculated all of this, and now I felt trapped, my brain frantically trying to make sense of this betrayal that was taking place. Why, Sarah? I asked in a lowered voice, my tone still full of suppressed anger. Why other men? What the hell does that even mean? Are you planning to have sex with them? Are you leaving me? Her eyes softened, but her gaze was unwavering. No, Michael, I'm not leaving you. I love you. I do. You're my soulmate. I just needed this time to find my true self and explore those aspects I had neglected. It's not about abandoning you. Her words should have comforted me, but instead they floated between us like a fog of uncertainty. How could I possibly accept her running off to date other men and then coming back to me pretending nothing happened? My stomach was churning, and for the first time in my life, I felt like it was so hard to breathe. I couldn't keep sitting there any longer. I stood up, placed my napkin neatly on the table, and finished the rest of my drink in one gulp. Without another word, I turned toward the door. Michael, where are you going? She shouted from behind me, panic in her voice. I don't know. I didn't look back. You better take a cab home. I left her in that upscale restaurant with those fractured explanations and a diamond necklace she no longer deserved. I drove aimlessly for hours with no particular destination in mind, My headache was pounding, the streetlights blurred into a blur in my vision, and only the roar of the engine kept me awake. At some point, I must have fallen asleep in the car, because the next morning I woke up in an unfamiliar parking lot with a lingering headache. Reality came in like a tidal wave, making me feel the pain of the night before all over again. I first took care of my physical needs behind a bush, vulgar, I know, and then started looking for a coffee shop. After finding a diner, I ordered breakfast and a large coffee and tried to clear my head and formulate my next move. There is absolutely no question about agreeing to such a ridiculous request. But what next? After a few cups of coffee and a plate of scrambled eggs and bacon, I realized I couldn't hide from the issue forever. I have to go home and face Sarah. Sarah was already waiting outside as I drove into the driveway, and as soon as she saw me, she ran over to me, worry written all over her face. "Where were you last night?" she questioned as she rushed over. "I thought something terrible had happened to you." I step back and raise my hand as she tries to kiss me. "Sarah, I need to take a shower first, and then we need to talk about what you said last night." I walked past her and straight to the bathroom. As the hot water washed over my body, I tried to clear my mind, but everything was still confusing. Is my wife really telling me she wants to date other men? How can this be reality? By the time I'd put on clean clothes and poured another cup of coffee, Sarah was sitting at the kitchen bar waiting for me. I took out my notebook and pen and sat across from her, trying to stay calm. "Okay, Sarah," I spoke, my voice smooth but a little tight. "Can you explain a little more about why you think this exploration is a good idea?" She didn't hesitate this time. "Michael, I feel like I'm missing something inside. I need to be recognized as a woman. I needed to find out what I really needed, and I felt the only way to do that was by exploring relationships outside of my marriage." I took a deep breath and forced myself to stay calm. "So you're saying that you don't know what you need, but you think sleeping with other men will help you find the answer?" Her voice trembled a little. "I'm not saying I'd necessarily have sex with someone else, Michael, but if I met the right person, I might consider it." I felt a tightening in my chest. This woman was completely unrecognizable to me, and I wasn't sure she would ever be the same person I knew again. I stared at her dead in the face, my heart racing as I tried to understand what she was really trying to say. "So, you're telling me that if it feels right, you might sleep with someone else, and you expect me to just sit here in this house and wait for you?" My voice was a little hoarse from emotion. "Michael, it's not like that," Sarah said, a hint of frustration in her tone. "I'm not leaving you, I don't want to. I just need some space to find myself." "You need space to find yourself? By dating other men?" I retorted, feeling my composure fading. "How is that going to work, Sarah?" She looked down at her hand and nervously twirled her wedding ring. "I've been thinking that for a few years now, Michael. Our lives are taken up with work and daily chores, and I no longer feel the valued feeling I used to. I'm not saying it's your fault, but things have certainly changed." "Valued?" I repeated, my voice filled with disbelief. "Everything I do is for us, for our future. Do you think this house, this life appeared by itself? What do you think I work all day for?" Sarah flinched at my tone, but I didn't care anymore. My anger was rolling under the surface. We've been working day and night and are about to pay off the mortgage, and now she's telling me I'm not making her feel valued? She was silent for a moment, her fingers still fiddling with the ring, before she finally spoke. "I just feel like there's something missing between us, that connection, that thing we used to have. It's been gone for a while." I clenched my fists and tried to keep my voice steady. "So let me get this straight. You're going to fill this void by finding other men, as many as you want, and then what do you expect me to do? Just stand back and watch, and come back when you're done exploring?" She avoided my gaze, clearly unsure of how to respond. "Michael, I don't know what's going to happen next. I'm not saying I'll necessarily have sex with someone else, but I need to at least see if I can find what I'm missing." The words hung in the air, sharp and hurtful. I never thought I'd have this conversation with my wife. I always thought we'd face the same issues that normal couples face: financial pressures, maybe disagreements about the kids. But this is totally beyond my imagination. "And what if you find it, Sarah?" I asked, my voice icy. "What if you go out and meet some guy and feel that connection, and then what? You just come home and tell me everything was okay, That our marriage was stronger because you got what you needed from someone else? She finally looked at me with tears in her eyes. I don't know, Michael. I don't know how this is going to go, but I swear I still love you and I don't want to lose you. But you're losing me, I said calmly, the realization growing clearer as I spoke the words. And every word you say is creating a rift between us. This thing, this thing you want, it goes against everything that makes our marriage work. Sarah reaches for my hand, but I duck. Michael, please, I just need you to understand that this is something I have to do for myself, for us, for us. I laughed bitterly. It's entirely for you, Sarah. You're the one who asked for this. You're the one who wants out of this marriage. I didn't ask for this. I stood up and the room suddenly felt too small, too suffocating. I need to leave before I say anything I regret. Michael, where are you going? She shouted, panic in her voice. I don't know, I said, not looking back. But you'd better start packing up and moving to the guest room. There's no way I'm sleeping in the same bed as you right now. Sarah was silent, perhaps finally realizing that I wasn't going to take this as easily as she thought. Maybe she thinks I'm a coward and will let her do whatever she wants and pretend everything is fine. But she was wrong. I saw the beginning of it all. Emily, her divorced friend, was a bad influence from the start. Emily is a fourth-grade teacher at the same school that was the subject of a scandal a few years ago for having affairs with multiple men. Now she's single, 35, and living a life of debauchery. No doubt she's the one who put these twisted ideas in Sarah's ear. But here's the thing. If Sarah had crossed that line, there would be no family between us. All that will be waiting for her will be divorce papers. I stood up and Sarah looked at me confused. Is that all, Michael? Are you asking me to leave? Yes, for now. Sarah, let me be clear. I don't want you to do this. We made a vow to each other that included fidelity, and now you're going to break that vow. Think about it. If you want an open marriage, I think I'd have the same option. She was speechless at this. Without another word, I grabbed my car keys and walked to the door. Michael, where are you going? She shouted from behind me. I don't know yet, I replied, not looking back. But move your stuff to the guest room and start looking for a place to stay. I'm not going to let you bring your affair into this house. I slammed the door hard, the sound echoing in the silence. As I got into the car, I considered whether or not to go straight to Emily's apartment and confront her in person. But I know that won't work. It's all Sarah's choice, not Emily's, and she has to live with the consequences of her actions. When Monday came, I was out of the house before Sarah woke up. I'm not going to let this go down like this, much less sit back and do nothing. She thinks she can just go out there and date other men and I'll be indifferent? Never. The first step was to contact my attorney. Fortunately, I have a good friend who has been dealing with all sorts of legal matters, from real estate to wills. Although he is not a divorce attorney, he can recommend the right person for me. He quickly put me in touch with the best divorce attorney at their firm, and I made an appointment to meet with her that afternoon. It wasn't a conversation I wanted to have, but it was necessary. I made it clear to my lawyer that I wanted the matter to be resolved as peacefully as possible. I'm not interested in a bloody property fight, and an equal division of property is perfectly acceptable to me. After all, we were building this family together before now. I don't intend to make things too ugly because of her betrayal, but I'm not ready to file a lawsuit yet. I need proof of her infidelity before I take the next step. It's been a slow week like a snail's crawl. I minimized my time at home and went to the gym every night to let off steam. Meanwhile, Sarah spends almost all day with Emily. By Thursday, she told me she would be staying at Emily's temporarily until she found her own place. I knew exactly what that meant. It gave her the freedom to meet her new boyfriends without me interrupting. When Saturday came around, Sarah was moving her stuff into her car and getting ready to leave. But just as she was about to drive off, she suddenly stopped and looked at me with those big eyes. Michael, I really don't want to go. Are you sure we can't find a way for me to stay? Her voice was soft. I love you, and I really want to make our marriage better. I sighed, feeling the weight of it all. Sarah, if you really loved me and wanted to fix this, you wouldn't be doing this. I want you to stay, but I can't accept you being with another man and calling yourself my wife. If you don't want counseling, I don't know what to say. After she finished loading the last box, I drove to the hardware store, bought new locks, and spent the whole weekend replacing all the locks. I also changed the code on the garage door to make sure she couldn't get back in. The following week was nothing short of torture. I went to the gym every day and ran until I was exhausted trying to get rid of that feeling of failure. Am I really so bad that my wife has to find other men to satisfy her? In my confusion, I began researching information related to marital infidelity online, hoping to find some answers. To my shock, I found that nearly 40% of married people have cheated on their spouse, and even more surprisingly, about 90% of couples stay married after cheating. In many cases, especially in families with children, cheating is often tacitly condoned and the couple goes on with their lives as if nothing happened. Many cheating wives claim they still love their husbands and just feel like something is missing in the house. Many women explain that the stresses of family life make intimacy with their husbands monotonous. They have to juggle children's activities, housework, and daily chores, all of which can dilute the bond with their spouse. They crave some excitement and someone who will give them attention instead of talking about children or chores whenever they meet. It got me thinking that maybe the secret to keeping a marriage together is to treat your wife like she is cheating on you, but not really cheating on you, but focusing on maintaining physical intimacy. I even briefly considered the idea of pretending to meet Sarah at the nightclub she and Emily frequented, as ridiculous as that idea sounded. People cheat for all sorts of reasons, from lack of physical fulfillment to lack of passion, to simply because they have lost connection with their spouse. Some people even cheat to get back at their partner for betraying them. Others claim that the affair helped save their marriage, although I'm skeptical. Research shows that open marriages, where both parties agree to see other people, rarely work. Emotional attachments develop, feelings get hurt, and most of the time they end in divorce. Diverse relationships aren't easy either, especially when children are involved. There is also an ongoing risk of bringing sexually transmitted diseases into the home. For me, monogamy is the only way a marriage can be sustained. If both parties can't agree on this, then they need to reconsider the relationship or find someone else. Am I neglecting my wife? Is she being pushed too far while focusing on building a life for us? I can't say for sure, but I do know that I don't like the idea of her leaving to pursue other men. She says I'm not giving her what she needs, but I don't see how her behavior is going to fix our marriage. The following week was as slow as the week before. I didn't reach out to her, and Sarah only sent me a message asking me to forward her mail to her new address. There was no indication that she was interested in repairing our relationship, and everything became very businesslike and impersonal. It's clear she's moving forward with her plans to find a boyfriend, maybe more than one. The thought of driving to her place to see where the hell she and Emily had gone and who they were meeting flashed through my mind. I did drive by there a couple times, but eventually resisted the urge to stop. I know I can't do this to myself. I had to let her make her own choice, and if she was going to come back to me, it had to be of her own free will, or she would no longer be my wife. Each day that passed, the likelihood of her coming back seemed to diminish, and as time went on, I became less and less open to her coming back. Things became clearer a month later when I learned through Sarah's mother that Sarah had actually gone on vacation to the Dominican Republic with one of her new loves. This happened during her school vacation, and apparently they enjoyed a week in the sun, and who knows what else. If that's what she calls making our marriage stronger, she's completely wrong. Emily's influence on Sarah undoubtedly exacerbated all of this, and likely portrayed me in her mind as a negligent husband who pushed her to cheat. Now Sarah is living with her cynical, divorced friend, and her reputation among her coworkers and family is steadily declining. When Sarah's mother found out her daughter had gone on a tropical vacation with another man, she called to ask me what had happened. I told her the truth. Sarah left to develop a relationship with another man. She was shocked. I suggested she talk to Sarah directly, and when she did, Sarah's reaction was totally expected. "Why did you leave, Sarah? What happened between you and Michael? Was he bad for you?" her mother asked. "No, Mom, he didn't abuse me," Sarah replied, "but he didn't make me feel the way I needed to feel. I don't feel attractive and popular. I need that, and I can't get it from him, so I'm looking elsewhere now. But don't worry, in a few months, maybe a year, I'll be back with Michael and then everything will be fine." Sarah's mother was relentless. "If you keep this up, Michael won't be waiting for you when you decide to come back. Cheating is a sure way to end a marriage. Can't you see that?" But Sarah remained confident. "Mom, Michael loves me, he understands. I'll go home. We'll start a family, and everything will be fine. Her mother tries to warn her, but Sarah won't listen. Seeing all this, I realized it was time to move on. As the saying goes, all roads lead to Rome. And since hens can eat, roosters certainly can. 3 months after Sarah left, I realized I couldn't continue to be stuck like this. A woman I know from the cycling club, Grace, maybe it's time to ask her out to dinner. I wasn't trying to make this too serious. I just needed some company and a change from the monotony that had been going on since Sarah left. My daily routine became extremely regular. Work, gym, bike, sleep. Day after day, I followed this pattern and waited for things to slowly calm down. This is my life. There's a part of me that still wants Sarah to come to her senses, come home, and put an end to this ridiculous situation. But deep down, I know it's unlikely to happen. Even if she does come back, she won't be the wife I once knew. It's clear that she's enjoying her newfound freedom to find the excitement and validation outside of her marriage that she feels is missing. This fits with all the reasons I've read for married women cheating. So, I decided to set up a date. But I don't want to seem too eager or awkward. I think the best way to do this is to get to know the members of the cycling club better before going any further. I don't want a pity date. I want something real. Most of the members of our club already knew about my separation from Sarah, and I doubt some of them had even heard about Sarah's active dating life. Word travels fast in this town. When I asked Grace if she wanted to join me for a cup of coffee or tea, she agreed without hesitation, which surprised me a bit. We planned to meet casually on Saturday night and then go kayaking together on a nearby lake the next day. I've kayaked a few times before, so I'm fairly experienced. Grace had never tried it before, but she was intrigued by the idea, so that's how we settled on it. It became our first date. The kayaking went well, and we paddled about 10 miles in 3 hours. Afterwards, we had dinner at a nice restaurant. I ordered craft beer with steak and fries, and she had white wine and pasta. The atmosphere was relaxed and completely stress-free. We ended the night by getting ice cream at the ice cream stand on the waterfront, and then I gave her a ride home. I was going to just give a polite kiss on the cheek, but she unexpectedly leaned forward and kissed me on the lips. To avoid seeming too eager, I waited until the next routine Tuesday bike party to suggest another date. Grace mentioned that she had been worried that I wasn't enjoying our time together because I hadn't contacted her sooner. I assured her I had a great time and really enjoyed being with her. We arranged to meet again on Saturday, this time to play golf. I've read advice on staying interested in dating, including tips on texting and phone contact. So on Friday, I sent her a message expressing my anticipation of playing golf and offering to pick her up. She preferred to meet directly at the golf club, so we set up a meeting for early afternoon. We had a few fun hours on the course, even though neither of us are very good at golf. That night I hosted a barbecue party at my house, and we shared a bottle of wine. Late at night, I was ready to take her home, but Grace took my car keys, left them on the counter, and then asked if I could visit the bedroom. The next morning, I woke up to find Grace lying next to me, her arm draped over my chest. She had long dark hair, green eyes, and flawless skin, except for a small scar on her chin that added a bit of character to her face instead. She's tall, about 5 feet 11 inches and slim, probably around 140 pounds. She works in the pediatric department as a nurse, a job that speaks to her empathy in and of itself. From our first meeting, her genuine character and gentle charm attracted me. We were having breakfast on the patio, and the conversation inevitably turned to my current situation and a possible divorce. I know it's a touchy subject, but I also understand why she needs to make that clear. No woman wants to waste her time on a man who might make up with his wife. I explained to her why Sarah had left, and judging by Grace's reaction, she didn't think Sarah was coming back. This conversation pushed me to take the next step. On Monday, I contacted an attorney about hiring an investigator. Before I file for divorce, I need to know exactly how many men Sarah is dating. I want to know the truth about what happened, no matter how painful it is. The relationship with Grace was developing, and I needed to prepare for the future rather than remain trapped in this state of uncertainty. I needed certainty, needed to know if Sarah had truly put our marriage behind her so that I could fully let go and move on with my life. This new relationship has helped me see a lot of things clearly. Grace not only made me realize that life can move on, but she also showed me what a true partner should look like. She understood my situation and gave me the space I needed while supporting me in her own way. This reinforces my conviction that it's time to end this once and for all. I can't keep waiting for someone who may never come back, especially when there's a better option right in front of me. The private investigator's findings were shocking but not surprising. Sarah was dating multiple men at the same time, mostly married men, and they often rendezvoused at Emily's apartment, all of which occurred after their night out at the club. Knowing this, I immediately had my attorney prepare the divorce papers. Later that night, Sarah showed up at the door of the house, obviously frustrated and holding a large brown envelope. "Honey, someone delivered these papers today," she said, getting right to the point. "Why are you filing for divorce? I was going to come home this week, and we could have even started preparing for a baby." I invited her in and gestured for her to take a seat at the kitchen table. "It's too late now, Sarah. When you were leaving, I made it clear that I didn't want you to go, but you made your choice anyway." She tried to defend herself. "Honey, I told you I need to find myself and gain more confidence." I interrupted her. "So you feel more confident now? Found what you were looking for through those new relationships? Had enough of new dates and physical contact?" She tried to protest, but I didn't give her a chance, because from what I can tell, you seem to be having a good time. "I've hardly heard from you since you left. You didn't even call on my birthday, probably too busy with your lover in the Dominican Republic. You didn't even call your mom on Mother's Day, and she called me specifically to ask me what was going on." Sarah's face turned pale as I continued. "So tell me, Sarah, did you find what you were looking for when you spent so much time chasing pleasure?" "Darling, I love you," she pleaded, "and I realize now that I may have gone a little too far. I'm ready to go home." "No, you didn't," I said firmly. "What does that mean?" she asked, her voice rising. "I'm still your wife, and this is still my home. I'm going over to Emily's to pack up my stuff, and then I'll be back." "You can't do that," I explained. "Did you go through all the papers in that envelope? There was a judge's ruling at the end that you can't come within 500 feet of this house until the divorce is final. Technically, you're violating that order right now. I won't pursue this, but you need to leave. We'll settle the rest through legal channels." Sarah finally seemed to understand how serious the situation was. The vows we once made of love, respect, and loyalty have been broken, and that can't be fixed. I told her that if she really wanted the house, she could buy my half for $150,000 and that the house was almost paid off. If it doesn't work, we'll sell the house and split the proceeds. Either way, she can't move back. I walked her to the door, closed it, and locked it. A month later, we finalized our divorce peacefully and without going to court. Sarah got her fair share of the property. We sold the house, and I moved on. And Sarah continues her lifestyle. I heard through a friend that her charter school has asked her to maintain a more discreet, personal life. Parents have learned of her relationships with multiple men, and some are uncomfortable with her teaching their children. The mothers in particular expressed strong resentment, suspecting that some of the fathers might be having an affair with Sarah. Eventually, Sarah was diagnosed with a sexually transmitted disease that, while not fatal, was severe enough to require a year of abstinence. It's probably not a big deal, though, since she's also pregnant. One of her lovers got her pregnant, and she wasn't careful about birth control. Although the child's paternity has not been identified, the child bears a striking resemblance to a married teacher at her school. The divorce freed me from Sarah. It's now been a year since this all began. I bought a new house, got a promotion at work, and most importantly, Grace and I now live together. We're excited to share two pieces of good news. We're getting married this summer, and we're looking forward to welcoming our first child over Christmas. This experience has taught me a lot. Sometimes loss is a gain. If Sarah hadn't chosen to leave, I may never have met Grace or had the happiness I have now. I realized that true love is not about finding so-called excitement or self-exploration, but about trust, loyalty, and mutual growth. Grace has given me a new life, a new hope. Not only did she understand my past hurts, but more importantly, she healed them with her kindness and sincerity. Now, as we plan our future together and look forward to our wedding and the baby to come, I know that this is true happiness. Sometimes I wonder how Sarah would feel if she saw us now. But it doesn't matter anymore, Because as the old saying goes, when one door closes, another one opens. And through that new door, I found the happiness that is truly mine. That's the end of today's story. For more captivating tales, hit subscribe and never miss an episode.